What's up, vacation boy? It's going to be a fire show. We got a lot to talk about today. We have people trying to sell our land to the CCP. What is going on? How is this even a possibility? Like, why are we even? We have land that's publicly unutilized, and by the way, they own over 60% of the land in this country. The federal government does. That should tell you everything you need to know. Oh, that's right. No, actually, the government, in some way, shape, or form, owns 100% of the land, because if you don't pay your property tax, they'll just come take it from you. Look, Matt, I am not anti-government. If you buy your land, you should own it. Period. You pay it off. You go through the process of paying it off. There shouldn't be taxed. You say, well, we have to pay for schools. We have to pay for all this stuff. You waste more money. They probably waste 50% of the budget and have people that sit in their office and do nothing. So we need to talk about this. And now they want to sell off protected properties and wildlife reserves.
And by the way, we have some stats on this. So some states have a lot of federally owned land, like Nevada, for example, at 85%. California is at 45%. A lot of that land is inside forests and really beautiful areas that people would want to live. A lot of it not even being used. Sometimes trails, parks, but for the most part, a vast majority of this land is being completely and totally unused by any human beings. The nature people, I guess, are the only ones who may have some sort of advantage to it remaining federally owned. I would like to see not China owning it, but the opportunity for more people in the United States to be able to live in beautiful areas. Right over there, very close to where I am, is a massive national park. It's not a national park, it's nationally owned land. I believe it may be a state park, but it's owned by the government. And it's one of the most incredible areas, right next to really expensive beaches with the mansions on the water. And instead of anyone using it, no one walks on it, no one does anything with it. It just sits there. It's sand and does absolutely nothing for anyone. I don't understand why that is the case. I get it. They want to protect their property values who already own land nearby, but it's not worth it. At some point, we have to start selling that off, don't you think, Joe?
I think you should have opportunities, but I think that the problem that I have is that they keep looking for more opportunities in order to make themselves money, not opportunities for people in the public to get opportunities to live in beautiful places. And I got some examples of that I'll bring up a little bit later. We're also going to talk about Congress going on its month-long recess. Is just a month away, and then we'll do a brief update on Iran and Israel, who continue to just bomb the hell out of each other. And it doesn't look like there's going to be a resolution. And we have to ask the question, it was asked to me again last night, are we and should we get involved in the war? My answer is going to be no. I know your answer is going to be no. But we're going to talk about all this and more today on Untamed.
Take two. Cut.
Take two. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people. All right, follow me with this.
But they've been using their power to obstruct and stop justice from taking place.
You want to pray us out?
I do.
We'll pray for Tina. And let's have conversations about what truth is. Highest bidder, CCP. We just talked about all the stuff that's happening, and now they want to sell the land. Just to the highest bidder. Let's just sell it to international and just sell it to people out there. How do you feel about that? How does everybody that's listening feel about that? How do you feel about the opportunity to give up your land? And by the way, there's so much chaos going on right now and wars and and it's like the Kardashians. You got Does President Trump believe what Tulsi Gabbard has is accurate? Da, 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 da. There's so much stuff out there that we miss all this. And so we cover things that you shouldn't miss. So in here it says millions of acres of public land could be eligible for sale in Senate reconciliation bill. And it gives interested parties, and you notice how it says interested parties, the ability to buy up to 3 million acres from large areas from the Land Forest Service and the BLM. And you kind of go through this, and it talks to millions of acres of BLM and forest land maybe fit the criteria for sale under the Senate committee proposal. Up to 3 million acres would be up for sale in the next 5 years, which include lands currently permitted for grazing. If passed, the first sale of federal public land could happen this fall. More than 250 million acres of public lands fit the criteria for sale put forward by Senator Mike Lee in the newest version. While the Utah Republican version of the bill caps the total sell-off to a vanishingly small percentage of America's 640 million acres of public land, between 0.5 and 0.75 of all Bureau of Land Management and U.S. Forest Service lands separately, it would translate to a federal government selling up to 3.04 million acres. The intention of the sale is to drive revenue in order to offset trillions of dollars of proposed tax cuts and address the nation's $36 trillion in debt. This is the most retarded thing I've ever seen in my life. Instead of actually selling the public and people on cutting the budget and making sure that you balance the budget, instead what they're doing is that they're selling the American people to the highest foreign person out there in hopes that they can generate enough money to maybe bring the budget down by $3-4 trillion. But the problem is it's going to go right back up $3 or $4 trillion. And they're like, oh, we reduced the deficit by, let's say it's $7 trillion. Let's say they were to sell that land for $7 trillion. You're still at $30 trillion. And you're still right back in the same boat of just resetting and moving the goalposts of the ultimate financial destruction of the United States. Tell me how I'm wrong.
Not only are you not wrong, but on top of that, I would love to see only people who have ancestry who fought in the Revolutionary War should be allowed to buy the land, maybe something like that. CCP, very bottom of the list, right down there with people from India who are here illegally, then maybe people from Mexico here illegally, right a tier above that. And you have the tier list of who you want and don't want to be buying that land. But at the end of the day, this is another cheap way for them to try to sell out our assets, just like Biden depleted the entire oil reserve for the most part, the majority of it. It's the same thing here. They're taking away assets that are owned by us, selling it to foreign countries only to pay for us to then go further into debt anyway. They're not actually fixing it. They're not actually reducing spending. And once again, nobody's doing anything to save our future, to make sure our kids are going to have a place to live that is safe and prosperous. That only can happen if they run the government well. And they're not even close right now to doing that, regardless of if they sell the land or not.
Starlight.
Hi, Starlight.
No.
So here's my issue, is that maybe we get another few more years. Maybe by doing this, you get 3 or 4 more years. You're still killing the next generation. Just cut the budget. And they're like, oh, we can't do it. Cut people. You can't do it. You can't feed what you don't have. And ultimately, everyone, it's the whole formula that while all this chaos is happening and people are taking meat off the bone, is that we're not addressing the sustainability of our nation. We're not addressing it. It's as if it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if I take away from your kids, because they don't matter. As long as I get to eat today, as long as I get to take meat off the bone today, as long as I get to go fly around on my G5 and act like a fool on the taxpayer dollars, it's okay. But God forbid we just solve a problem very quickly and say, listen, we're going to cut the budget and all this stuff it's got to go. And what if we didn't sell the land? What if we leased it? What if we said, okay, we're going to lease, instead of leasing 0.5 to 0.75%, we're going to lease it. We're going to lease 8 million, 10 million acres of land and generate generational amounts of money on that land used for farming. I mean, you could use it for 100 different things. But that's not what they want to do.
I would love to see a percent of the military budget going towards building modern, nice, well-built, efficient homes in some of that land, and then can be rented out at an affordable price to families who need it and also to individuals who want to live in the most beautiful parts of our country that are currently out of access for living there. Now, we also have a clip here of Mike Lee explaining the land sale and how it's going to supposedly go down. If we want to go ahead and put up A2.
A2?
Nearly 1 out of every 3 acres in America is owned by the federal government. In states like Utah, it's even more extreme. Almost 70% of our land is controlled by Washington, D.C. That's not sustainable. It's not fair. It's not serving the Americans who actually live here. President Trump gets it. That's why his Secretary of the Interior and Secretary of Housing and Urban Development teamed up.
This partnership will identify underutilized federal lands suitable for residential development and streamline the land transfer process.
We're opening underused federal land to expand housing, support local development, and get Washington, D.C. out of the way of communities that are just trying to grow.
We need more affordable homes in America, about 7 million to be exact.
We want to have land so we can have housing built in certain areas like this area. They don't have the housing.
Let me be clear. This does not touch national parks, national monuments, or wilderness. We're talking about isolated parcels that are difficult to manage or better suited for housing and infrastructure. To our hunters, anglers, and sportsmen, you will not lose access to the lands you love. Washington has proven time and again it can't manage this land. This bill puts it in better hands. At the same time, we're cutting billions in unused Biden-era climate slush funds. We're opening up energy and resource development. And we're turning federal liabilities into taxpayer value. This is President Trump's agenda. Cut the Green New scam, reduce the deficit, unleash American energy. That's how we make government smaller, freer, and work for Americans.
This is not a sexy subject. And this just shows you talk about developers, and they're going to turn this land over to developers and make housing. Matt, do you think that the taxpayers are going to get the access to that revenue? It's going to be one guy that's given the entire job. He's going to make 40, 50, $100 million on it. He's going to build all the houses. Then the rental company is going to come in, and they're going to suck up that opportunity. Where's the opportunity for the people other than maybe working as a barista at the nearest gas station? Where's the opportunity for the people?
Well, they're setting it up in a way that is only going to benefit the people if there is a high profit that is taken in through tax revenue, and then that is used to pay down the debt. Otherwise, there's no point in doing any of it. If they want to add on more government programs, that won't help. The idea of being able
justification's
to live in nature, I
right.
do like that, but it's still going to be expensive.
The justification of what it's supposed to do is right. I mean, it sounds great on paper. It really does. And look, everyone say, look, are you going against President Trump's agenda? No. I think President Trump has a desire to make sure that people have more prosperity. But the people that are actually writing and giving this stuff, do you think that Mike Lee came up with this idea all by himself? No. I can tell you what happened. Some lobbyist group that's run by some big guy walks in and says, hey, just give us access to this land and we'll build houses. And we'll charge people, we'll rip their freaking faces off. But you know what? Don't worry about it, because just give us access to the land, wink, wink, and we'll make sure that we have the spinoff as this gives housing. And I'm not being hyperbolic about this. This has been done before. Like what they're trying to do is being done before. State land has been given up and entitlements have been given up in order to build things that put money into individuals' pockets. And those people, even for $1,000, have been sold down the river for townships and cities to give up those entitlements. And it sounds great on paper, but who is it that actually benefits from it? And are we solving the problems that are most closely related to what people need? That's my problem, is that this sounds great on paper. But if you were to take 100 people and put them in a room and say, these are the 10 top problems that we have, it wouldn't even come close to the top 1,000. So you're solving a problem that it makes you look okay while giving opportunity to a few 5, 7, 10 people, whatever it is, and jobs, blue collar jobs mostly in those environments. But to what end? To what end? It's the same problem we have. People are more concerned about education, and you could say, well, they get out there, Joe. They're taking care of it. They're working the problem. Look, they can kill a baby at 9 months in a day. A baby could be out of the womb, and the doctor could just cut off its head, because you actually can make that decision now. You don't think that's a bigger problem than this? And we have a homelessness problem. No, we have a fentanyl and drug problem, because you won't arrest them and put them in jail. I can tell you what people are actually talking about because we have these conversations every day. But this leadership is completely disconnected from that. When is the last time that you went out, built new houses, that you saw rent come down? Ever? Does that ever happen in the history of the planet? Has it ever happened that, we got 2,000 more houses than we need, let's lower rent? No. The only thing at the time that happens during a recession.
It would help, though, if we were to deport 50 million people from our country who are here legally. 50 may be a high estimate. We'll say 30. Will be nice. It's probably closer to 50, if we're being honest. If we were to deport 40 to 50 million people within the next 4 years,
our budget would balance.
Our budget would balance. That would drastically reduce home prices. And we wouldn't even need to sell federal land. We could have some federal land that's beautiful, specifically, that would be the caveat, be available for people to purchase and put homes on. That would be nice. But the idea of selling it all, the idea of having it for paying off revenue, we don't need to do that. We can do that the simple way by deporting people. And now we also have Trump in C3, who decides to come out and say his opinion on this. I think it's important to hear from Trump directly. This is one of his big initiatives. He wants to build a legacy. That's the big main point of this presidency, is things that last, legacy, history books. Go ahead and play A3.
An issue here in Southern Nevada, availability of land. One of your policies is saying releasing more federal land for building of houses.
Yeah.
How will you enact that here in Southern Nevada? Because that is a huge issue here in Southern Nevada, and it will be in the coming years.
Well, we want to have land so we can have housing built in certain areas like this area. They don't have the housing. And we have so much land, and we want to put it to use. So we're going to have land released, and on that land, we're going to build housing. We're going to have housing built.
All right, but just for context, just so you understand, Mike Lee reposted this video from him, from President Trump, but that was prior to him being elected in November. So that was in August of last year that he actually said that. It was not recent, but and although he does have a interest in it, I wouldn't say that would be. I'm not sure that selling and doing the things that they're going to do, one, to reduce the deficit temporarily, is going to meet the needs of what President Trump's trying to accomplish. So I don't think that. And I'm not. We talk about people not being happy about the selling of land. I want to show you this. This is there's an ex-user had these texts between himself and Mike Lee, in which Mike Lee said this. This is, can we put this up here real quick? It's really interesting. Whew. He says, the feds own 67% of my state. Why is that okay? And his thumbs up. In any event, I'm a huge fan of homeschooling. If I still have kids at home, I'd be homeschooling them. And then to him, he said, the feds own 67% of our state. And this person replied, better than BlackRock.
Which is true. And that is who would buy it. And they would use it to put us further into rent slavery rather than ownership. You will own nothing and be happy. That is who will be primarily purchasing it. These big hedge funds controlled largely by the Israeli government, which is even more scary to me than China. China's scary too, both of them. We don't really want either of them, if we're being honest, buying up all this land, because all it will be used for is increasing the profit margins as high as possible and then sending that money back into their homelands, therefore increasing their quality of life while decreasing ours. It is a funnel out of our country if we do this in the wrong way. And BlackRock is arguably just as bad as China.
BlackRock it literally bought up all the houses. You know, all the houses that were built, that are being built in neighborhoods, that are being leased out for $3-4 grand a month each, $5 grand in some cases. They're all run by management companies and owned by BlackRock. They're buying hundreds of thousands of homes, single family homes. BlackRock is. And so you're owning it up. Look at this second page. I want to put this into perspective for you. You ready? Mike Lee is the senator, is a U.S. senator. Okay? Can I put that in perspective for everyone? You have 3 bodies of government. You have the executive branch, presidential branch, right? You have the judicial branch, bunch of rotted judges that ideologically are absolute trash. And then you have the legislative body, which is Congress. Now, it's supposed to, all 3 of those things are supposed to work together to do what? Run the government, right? Here's what Mike Lee had to say about the government owning land. Ready? Let's put up the second part.
Ready. And by the way, I know Mike. We're following each other on Twitter. We've talked to each other before. He's a really good guy. And I do wish that he had more of a leadership role in this administration, because I think some of the ideas he's proposing are really good. And maybe with this, we need to talk him down from the ledge of who exactly will be purchasing it. But it's still overall a very positive idea. So I think we don't want to mix those things up too much. But yes, let's go ahead and take a look.
Did you play sports?
I did. I played football. I played basketball. I played soccer. Soccer was the one that I got the most injured from. So I regret the soccer. I played goalie. So I was diving on the ground. That was not nice to my back. I'll just put it like that. But besides that, I did play.
You were never a kicker, though, right? You were never a kicker.
In football? No, I did not play kicker. I did one year.
I was just talking about the fact that you did a Charlie Brown.
Oh, that hurt. Yeah, that was not fun. I mean, I did
I thought you
try out as a kicker one time, and I did not make the team as a kicker. I did make the team as a wide receiver. I wanted to do kicker because I felt like that would be a little easier on my back. But yeah, that's what
you
happened.
can catch.
That's the full story.
I will say it right now. You definitely can catch, and I could throw some fire, and you caught it. So it was good. Mike Lee doesn't get any free passes. Let's go to the second page real quick. So I'm not giving him a free pass. And in sports, by the way, what I was getting to is you don't get to, you know, as a coach or as a, you know, you don't get to escape criticism. And if you don't like it, tough shit. So Mike Lee said, I'd trust anyone owning the land more than the U.S. government. Huh. As long as the U.S. government controls it, we, the people, have access to use it and enjoy it. As soon as it's sold off, we lose it forever. Going to do a homeschool lesson on that tomorrow. Okay, so let me just put this in perspective for you. I trust anyone owning the land more than the United States government.
Ooh.
You're a senator. And what does this tell you about the system that every one of us is a slave to? I trust anyone more than I trust the U.S. government to own land. I trust anyone.
I mean, I like the sentiment. I don't want the government owning more stuff, but at the same time, anyone is a very strong word to use, because anyone includes, we just mentioned BlackRock, anyone includes the CCP. And I do not want BlackRock or the CCP owning it over the U.S. government. Come on, Mike. Come on, Mike. What are you doing? Mike. Mr. Lee.
Matt.
What's going on here?
Matt.
Full stop.
Matt. Come on, man. He is the government. Mike Lee is the government. There's 3 branches of government. 1, 2, 3. He's a part of the 3rd. He's sitting here telling me that we can't trust the U.S. government. No shit. Really? We just figuring that out? Oh, and oh, by the way, you are the government and you're telling us we can't trust you. No shit. That checks. That completely checks with reality.
Based.
My problem is this, is that we allow these people to lead us off a cliff. We already know that it's a lobbyist group that did it. And they're doing this, by the way, while all the rest of the chaos is going on. Israel, Iran, they're going at it. And then over here we have, let's just sell off all our crap. And you know who's going to end up with it, because go and be an average American and go try to go get land, buy land. Go try to get a mortgage. It's 8%. Well, BlackRock and Apple and all the, and I tell you what, I am not taking away from the success of those organizations. But you can't start another organization like it. You're frozen out. I mean, we could go to what AWS and others did to what's it called? Parler. They froze them out. Millions of people went to Parler as a social platform. Millions. I bet you they had 10 million users overnight, and it was growing like crazy. And what did AWS do? Nah, you're not in the club. So we're going to disconnect your deal and make it impossible. They sunk that company. It should have been an antitrust lawsuit that they won. But then the judiciary stepped in and said, no, that's conservatives. Those people don't stand for our ideology of cutting off wieners and grooming children. No, we got to take them out. And we sat around and watched it happen. And now this senator is sitting there telling us on this Friday day, you can't trust us. And oh, by the way, let's sell it to the highest bidder, even though we already sucked every dollar we can out of the American people. 56 cents on every dollar goes to the government. What's left? And I'm asking a serious question. And this is the reason why we can't have nice things. But we're going to reduce our budget with that, or deficit with that. What, for 3 years? We get to drink a little more Kool-Aid for 3 years? Come on. This is absurd. This is some of the stupidity that comes out of it. That's not a good business decision. That's a stupid business decision. Service a symptom, not the problem. Give away everything to BlackRock. They already own a couple 100,000. And you know BlackRock is the one that's over there lobbying.
Of course.
Embarrassing.
Yeah.
Embarrassing.
That's not only are they lobbying, but they're doing so through fake lobbying groups that are basically proposing the United States becomes a full rent state where no one's capable of owning anything. They're also requesting that property taxes are raised. And by the way, I figured I might as well, this is probably a good segue. So this house here, I believe has never been owned by BlackRock, fortunately, most likely. Actually, they probably do own part of it.
I'm gonna
you never know.
I'm gonna find out. It's gonna be BlackRock. You're staying in BlackRock. Staying in Mike Lee / BlackRock's house.
I got to turn off Barney so we don't get copyrighted.
Turn off Barney.
My Barney will get us. Yeah, we got Barney playing in the background. Check it out though. Look at this.
It is kind of a cool house. There you go.
Massive ceilings. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. You can see the ocean right there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is
and
awesome.
You got a pool.
And look, this is our puzzle that we were trying unsuccessfully to complete. A very
I know
difficult
Diana
puzzle.
did it. You didn't do it.
It was actually my cousins.
Oh, you didn't.
That were
You
working
didn't do
on
it.
it.
I was right about you not doing it. Right.
I got a couple pieces in there, Joe. Don't underestimate my cousin's skills.
Oh, where are the girls?
The girls are getting ice cream right now, which I'm about to go over there after I get off here. But they're going to get ice cream with Gigi and my granddad as well. Who by the way, it's my granddad that did all this. So thank you, granddad. Yeah, it's just this is amazing, awesome. That right over there is where the government owned land is. That probably about a mile that way, and it's stunning. I mean, this house I think is worth a few million. I'm not sure the exact price, but these houses in this area, they sell for a lot because a lot of them are new, they're big, and I think this one's designed for rentals. But yeah, it's got 3 stories, one up there, one down below, a bunch of bedrooms. So everyone's living well right now, having fun, and
And they have terrible
I know.
internet.
Surprise! Is the internet not working too well while I'm walking around?
It just cut out. Just cut out. It's fine.
Okay, yeah, the internet. We did lose internet yesterday for a little bit while they were fixing it.
So let me ask you a question. That's a beautiful house. I thought you were going to put the girls on because obviously they would steal the show.
They would steal the show, and I will have to put them on at some point. If they were here, then of course I would have them stealing the show right now, Joe. They would be on camera, singing, dancing, and of course our viewership would skyrocket upon such cuteness.
Okay, so here's the question for you. Ready? How are you going to stop the CCP from buying up land?
I have an idea. So what we could do is just make the land extra tall. And since Chinese people have slanted eyes, maybe they won't be able to see it fully. And then if they can't see it, they can't buy it. We could also put big signs that say no rice allowed. And if we ban rice from growing there, that should also be somewhat effective. What do you think, Joe? Is that a good plan, or is that
you just got blacked out? Okay, by the way, he's just joking around. He just made a racial joke. If you don't like it, sorry. He's being funny. You are not Asian. You are not allowed to make Asian jokes. We must bring in Apollo. Do me a favor. Go on Fiverr and get me an Asian that can make an Asian joke, just in proxy for Matt, so that Matt can't be the one making the joke.
Wow, that's so racist that you would assume Asians would be on Fiverr. How dare you, Joe? You're getting canceled right now.
I can't even get away from this. Oh, yeah. We'll take it from here. We're going to say need Asian who can make Asian joke as ASAP. Let's see what we got here.
There's is she Asian? That's perfect. Asian. Then she can make a woman joke too.
An American Canadian male voiceover. What? Come on, we want Asian voiceover. Me. Okay. Are you going to set up an account? All right, do that. I think you should do it. For everyone that's listening to this on the rebroadcast, Matt's not being racist. He's being uncouth and PC, non-PC. Oh, shame on me. Okay, Chinese-owned farmland in America accounts for, I don't even know how much it is, but it's a lot. The amount of farmland that they own. Now, they literally own a bunch of land. And that land, we have a picture of it. If we can put this up, that picture of it is a lot of this land is near Air Force bases. So you see like Grand Forks Air Force Base, there's land literally right next to it. Fort Lewis is surrounded by land that they own, the Chinese own up in Washington. Then you have Camp Pendleton. Look down there at what is owned by next Camp Pendleton in the far left, down near San Diego. Then you have Yuma Proving Ground, and they own, I don't know, about the size of a state on the East Coast and land. But that's not the biggest part. Look at the Hawaii military bases and what they own there. And you look at the red part, they literally own an entire or nearly an entire island. Same thing, Air Force Base down in Florida. You have this land that's owned in the middle of it that's owned by the Chinese. Fort Cavazos in Texas, areas Camp Bullis or closer to where you'd have San Antonio. They own a bunch of land there. Fort Leonard, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, Maine Army Guard, really close to what they have there. And then you can look at the amount of red in North Carolina, South Carolina, man, if you're not in a BlackRock house, Matt, you are probably sitting in a CCP house. Is there anything you want me to know? Is there anything you want to tell me?
You know, this is why we need to bring racism back, because maybe if we made more Chinese jokes, they wouldn't want to buy up all our land. Maybe if we put,
You're
I
not
thought of
bringing
another idea, by
racism
the way,
back.
while
Stop.
you're doing that reading. If we get a big
Your
Winnie the Pooh-
sarcasm is not coming through. People are going to think
Got
you're
you.
serious. They're going to actually put you on the Daily Beast.
What?
Yes.
I'm definitely screwed. But if we get the other option is just get a big Winnie the Pooh statue and put it on every single piece of land, and that will scare away Xi Jinping fully. He's not going to come anywhere near it at that point. That's the other effective way to do this. And by the way, I love Chinese people. Chinese people are the best. If you've ever been to a Chinese restaurant, you know there's nothing better than fried rice.
You're not going to get out of this. Apollo, black dot him, please.
I love Chinese
black
people.
dot him.
What?
Yeah, you just got black dotted again. Matt, I love Chinese people. Oh my gosh.
I use chopsticks to eat cereal in the morning. I'm a huge fan of Chinese culture.
The Chinese people don't use chopsticks to eat cereal.
I'm more Chinese than the Chinese people, Joe. What can I say?
Xie xie. You know what that means?
But that is terrifying, though, and they're doing that on purpose. That's not. It seems kind of silly that, okay, maybe it's a coincidence. They are buying that land on purpose. They're familiarizing themselves with it. They take this very seriously, the idea of war, which I think is kind of stupid because there's no way the two biggest nuclear powers, well, Russia technically is bigger, but really China's a much stronger country than Russia in every other aspect. So I would consider them to be number two in a way. The two biggest powers on Earth, military speaking, going to war would destroy all of humanity for the most part. 90% of humans would be wiped out. So that can't ever really happen. So I don't know why they are taking this so seriously, but they are. And that could mean they have a different plan in mind. Maybe it's subversion of our government slowly, just like we've seen other countries do. Maybe it's subversion of our systems, having the political power to be able to then have better trade deals. Whatever it is, they clearly are up to something, and the military aspect of it should scare you. It's not a joke. It's not a coincidence. That is their plan, and it's obvious.
Yeah, but they won't be able to see their plan because you said that they can't see the paper. What is wrong with you? All right, we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about something other than Chinese people and buying of land. Yeah, you've been warned. 3 million acres out of the 60 million that we have, and it's never going to go to the people. It always is spun to be to the benefit of the people that never, ever get the benefit, kind of like elections. So we'll take this quick commercial break from our sponsor. And you better be at Liberty Fest, and we'll be right back. In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
Gabe! Dude, Gabe, something's in the dumpster.
Whoa, what is that for?
Something's in the dumpster, man.
Well, let's use the burner. We don't want to wake the neighbors. Freeze! Stop resisting!
Stop resisting!
If you're looking for a less than lethal option for self-defense or keeping pests out of your dumpster, then check out Byrna at DCF Guns. Visit us at our 3 locations in Castle Rock or Colorado Springs, or visit us online at dcfguns.com.
Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter.
Hey, this is Goody! What? Man, what? You guys are not allowed here! Leave now!
We have two Jews, 5'10", 5'8", two Jews in a gray car leaving a gun store they were trying to rob. You're supposed to say, what color are they?
What color are they?
That would be Jew color. They are Jew color. It's a new color. It's called Jew. So we have to refer to them as their color. Their color is Jew.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that they definitely looked very Jewish. I could tell. You know, right after they robbed the gun store, they went and traded stocks on Wall Street.
All right, I'm cracking jokes. Here's why I'm cracking jokes. Because they say they're not white. The faithless atheists, they're not white. They're Jew. It's a race. So you got black, you got Asian, you got Spanish.
Yep.
And now you got Jew. So I just want the police to know that I'm going to retrain you on no yarmulke is present, but I'm for sure this is a Jew. Jew running down 5th Avenue. It's absolutely a Jew. Color Jew, 5'8" Jew.
But how do you know for sure that it is? You're not allowed to say it, Joe. You can't answer that question. That'd be a hate crime to answer that question. You're not allowed to.
My point is that it's absurd. The absurdity of what we go through every day is absurd. And we debate the ridiculous. Let's sell land because it's going to get to the people. We're going to build houses, but it never will. And we're going to reduce the deficit. We'll make $3 trillion on it. And so now we're $34 trillion. And oh, by the way, the deficit over the next 3 years is $1.5 trillion. So we're right back at 35.5 trillion. We just saved ourselves 3 years. It's not even real. And then who really gets that money? We constantly go back and forth with people that were never elected by us. We can't even get to the bottom of the election systems because we want to debate the ridiculous and have these morons run around saying, "Oh, save a secure election in U.S. history. You must believe us." It's absurd. We're having conversations with idiots who can't fight. They want to just go blow people up in different countries. They can't even fight. And God forbid that we ever call them what they are, white. It's always white liberals, man, killing me. Okay. Do you remember 2020?
Was not a fun time, Joe. 2020 was one of the worst times ever. That was right when we were starting to see Joe Biden, the era of Joe, the era of a puppet master behind the scenes and an old senile man sitting in the Oval Office. Not a fun time.
Yeah. So here's the I'm not sure I should play this. I probably shouldn't. First, I want people to understand something. Let me put this up for you. So the Joker does not like the fact that, or should be the Penguin, does not like the fact that that ICE wears face masks. Okay, I just sent it to you, so you have it. And before you get mad at me for saying the Penguin, I just want to be really clear. Nobody has ever seen the Penguin and Ralph Nadler in the room at the same time. Prove me wrong.
I have not. And I would be absolutely willing to
There you go.
to agree. That's definitely the Penguin. That is definitely him.
I mean, the Penguin doesn't have a penis. Neither does Ralph Nadler. The Penguin has a triple butt. So does Ralph Nadler. The Penguin wears silly ties. So does Ralph Nadler. They both walk with umbrellas. They're both the same height. They both wear shoes that are 3 sizes too big for them. I mean, tell me I'm wrong. I mean, the coincidences here are way too extreme. I just had you convinced. You're like, holy crap.
You got me. I'm now 100% sure that Nadler is in fact the Penguin.
He's really angry. He was speaking and said that it's hiding misbehavior, protecting their identities. Now, you remember what happened in 2020 where they hid behind masks? Remember when they basically terrorized neighborhoods and hurt people and bullied people and used things like the databases of people who own animals and stuff in order to find people's homes? Yeah, that happened. That happened in 2020. Here's the Penguin talking about the fact that we don't want our men and women of ICE to have any anonymity, but judges can. You can't find judges. Judges, you're not allowed to have access to their address. They can literally go in and remove themselves from database. So can Congress people. So can legislators. Judges, the big one. They can, DAs, they all basically get taken off. But ICE, our men and women in ICE, they can't be. Let's go listen to this moron.
But these people are wearing masks and are totally unidentified. And the question is why? The question is why. It's completely improper. And again, one has to assume they're hiding something or they're hiding misbehavior, because otherwise, why would they be wearing masks and denying their identities?
Okay, I can tell you why. Let me answer that for this fucking idiot. Sorry I cussed. They come to your house. They bring guns. They attack your wives and children. They send powder through the mail. They hide on buildings and chase you around in cars. They ridicule you. They bully you. They slander you. They find out everything that they possibly can that isn't true, and then they publish it. They create wiki pages about those people. They sue you. They defame you. And they do everything that they can in order to wreak havoc on your life. So piss off, Penguin. That's why.
It's just so disgusting because what he's really saying is that he wants people to be discouraged from being ICE agents, because who are ICE arresting? Gang members, people who are part of cartels, people who are willing to kill other individuals, shoot them in the head, and take their lives, take their families' lives, torture people. That's what the cartel is willing to do. That's what they're told to do by the upper ranks. And if they don't follow orders, then they get killed themselves. And so you're basically saying you want them and their families to be vulnerable and at risk, fighting against one of the most evil forces on earth in the cartels, in exchange for nothing. That's what they want. They want us to be able to have illegal immigrants running rampant here. They want people to feel unsafe being ICE officers, but safe being illegal gang members living near playgrounds. That's such a messed up version of reality. And by the way, the penguin was created in 1941, and the penguin was created to resemble people like Jerry Nadler, evil individuals. It's an exact replica of that type of person. And so it is a perfect analogy because it is accurate. That's who the penguin was based off of to begin with. These greedy, older people, especially, many of them part of the formerly Jewish atheist club, some of them not part of it. But regardless, that is what they based it off of for a reason. Many of the Japanese folk legend tales, many of the older tales in the United States are all based on the same type of people, the people who want to just basically take over societies, steal all of the wealth as much as possible without contributing any value, and then push these crazy policies in order to enrich themselves and to trick people into going forward with policies that destroy their own country while selling out to every single turn.
Yeah. So I mean, here again, I just say it very clearly. The rules are for thee and not for me. And we keep having them give rules to themselves so they don't have to follow the rules that they put in front of all of us. I mean, it's pretty simple. Okay, just strip yourself of your immunity. Let us have your email. Let's have your addresses. Everyone in Congress, let me see your address. Let me see your address for all the judges that bring down and create judgments against people. You no longer get to hide anymore around anonymity. And they say that it's because they have to be protected because it's a threat to their safety. Yeah, they can do what they want to me and to others and act with impunity. And I think it's completely wrong. So anyway, I know you like Twinkies. You like Twinkies? You like Twinkies. And you like Fruit Loops and you like, Fruity Pebbles. I'm here to tell you that that's about to change. You're about to lose all your Fruit Loops. They just made a huge announcement. Did you hear about this? Dude, this is going to change the way food. Everything from cereal to spices, fast food, all artificial dyes and additives are being removed from the food supply. This is going to be this is crazy. I don't know how you're going to eat. People aren't going to know what to eat. They're going to walk past stuff and be like, why does that look like spit? Because they changed the color because it looked like spit because it is spit. Let's go and play it.
Big food brands are making changes to their products as the Trump administration pushes to make America healthy again. So take a look. We start with General Mills. They're removing artificial food dyes from U.S. cereals and the foods that they send to our schools, K through 12 schools. That's going to happen by next summer. This is going to happen by the end of 2027. They're removing all artificial dyes completely by the end, like I said, it's 2027. They make Trick cereal, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Cheerios, Rice Chex, the things that are probably in your pantry. Also, Kraft and Heinz, they're saying goodbye to the artificial dyes by the end of 2027. Includes Jell-O, Capri Suns, Kool-Aid, and Crystal Light. Then the In-N-Out Burger, they removed artificial dyes from strawberry shakes and pink lemonade, and they replaced it with the beet juice and turmeric instead. Their focus is on the red 40 and the yellow 5. Also, the high fructose corn syrup, they're replacing that with natural sugar. Then let's take Steak and Shake. Instead, they're using the beef tallow fat. We've heard RFK Jr. talk a lot about this. Instead of the vegetable oils to make their French fries, their onion rings, and their chicken tenders. And the tallow fat, it's still unsaturated, but it is a lot healthier than the heavily processed seed oils. Then all the spices in your cabinets. McCormick, many of those in my cabinet are made by this brand, working to remove artificial food dyes and sodiums. Their focus is on the red dye number 3, which has been linked to cancer concerns.
That's awesome. That is seriously awesome. That's why RFK being in the position he is in is going to have a
He's a Democrat.
lasting impact. I love RFK. He's one of my favorite people. He's going to have a lasting impact on the United States for a very long time. And it is going to mean less obesity, less disease. It'll save us money on healthcare if we want to look at it economically. And it'll save us so many problems with pain and medicine. The only losers in this are big pharma, which is why it took so long to do it. Everyone else wins. And big food as well. Also takes a little bit of an L here. But really, in reality, they're not going to lose that much. They're just now being forced to change their foods. They'll still have the same profit margin for the most part.
All right, so breaking, but before I do, remember before, if you're actually on, hit the share button. You're the ones that the ambassadors of truth. Yes, I already know. I've already gotten the phone calls that we're getting suppressed again on Rumble. Pretty obvious at this point. I don't know what to say. I mean, I'll have a conversation with Chris next week, and we'll see what we can get worked out. But I know. I already heard. It's great. But go ahead and hit the share button, because we did actually get you this AMAC membership. Go to amac.us/untamed. It's free. It's a free membership. Free. It's absolutely free. They're not going to hit you with a credit card number or anything else. It's for 1 year, and you get a bunch of member discounts and everything else. And I'm just going to tell you what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get you away from the AARP. So that's why we're doing it. And you'd say, well, I'm 45. Great. Get on board. I think 38 is the cutoff. And so if you're younger than 38, just sign up anyway. Maybe they'll give you, I don't know if they will, but you might not qualify. You might not, but it's for mature people. Just tell them that you identify as 40-year-old. But this is just so that you have access to things that can get you away from the AARP, get you away from things that I think are giving money and your resources to people that can't help you. It's amac.us/untamed. All right. So the next
and if
subject,
you are transgender, by the way, you get an extra big discount on this. That's not true.
you get the no weenie beanie.
Yeah, if you're they may or may not, unconfirmed, they may or may not have banned certain individuals from being part of it, not just based on age. If you identify as 40, if you identify as the opposite sex, either way, you're probably not getting in. But it is seriously a good deal. Everyone needs to go right now.
You're not getting
if it's
in.
free.
that is a question.
Me. That's the way. That's my motto. If it's free, include me. You have to take advantage of it before. I'm going to say this every time until I'm not allowed to say it anymore, which will probably be very soon. You have to get it now while it is still free. Before they say, okay, well, actually, instead of free, we're just going to make it a little bit. They'll still give a discount, but to get it for free is insane. And so everyone should be going quickly before one day you're going to hear, oh, it's now multiple.
It shouldn't slow down, man.
Month.
I don't understand.
It's not
free stuff.
Like, all right.
Free stuff.
You're gonna be like, all right, I'm not now. I'm mad. Now I'm mad because I didn't get it when it was free. It's still a good deal either way. It's still worth it at that price. But you got to go now. Go to the link and be part of it right now.
All right. So hurry, snap. Okay. So this next part that we're going to talk about is, just cut this up. This is going to be President Trump. If you're listening, I need you to listen to me. So I know that you are really smart. You're one of the most brilliant people out there when it comes to strategy. You're always a couple steps ahead. But you just came out, and I'm going to give you an immense amount of credit. And look, I don't. He knows, like President Trump knows when I'm saying this right now. I've never kissed anybody's ass. I've never, asked for any ingratiating or entitlements. I was invited several times by Mike to go down to Mar-a-Lago to meet with President Trump. Unfortunately, I'm a family guy, so the time with my wife trumped that. In other words, I've been invited several other times to go down to Mar-a-Lago. I did go a couple times, but on the private, I've never. It's just not me, right? He's got better people to deal with than me. So President Trump, I haven't pulled no punches. I say this with the absolute respect for what you were doing and what you have done. but I'm going to get to, I think you're wrong. And maybe you're right and you're 10 steps ahead of me. I hope you are. But I think you're right in the approach that you took. I think you're wrong in the target. And I've spent the last 5 years fighting. Never asked for any special treatment. Obviously, I've been willing to take a bunch of punches. But so I mean this with all due respect. And even when I disagree with you in certain things, you're still the boss. So we can work the problem. You are the boss. You get to do it. I'm just going to tell you right now that there is a certain aspect of what is happening with the 2020 election that you can't see the forest through the trees. Kind of like when we brought up the CCP and printing ballots. Okay. So you've called for a special prosecutor to investigate the 2020 election. And when I saw this, I was really excited, fist pump. Come on, let's do this, right? He called today and he said, listen, we're going to get this done for a special prosecutor to investigate claims of fraud in the 2020 election, saying the evidence is massive and overwhelming. Absolutely correct, Mr. President. You are absolutely right. 0 border crossings for the month for Trump versus 60,000 for sleepy crooked Joe Biden, a man who lost the 2020 presidential election. By a landslide, Biden was grossly incompetent and the 2020 election was a total fraud, President Trump wrote. The evidence is massive and overwhelming. Okay. The evidence is massive and overwhelming. A special prosecutor must be appointed. This cannot be allowed to happen again in the United States of America. Let the work begin. What this crooked man and his corrupt cronies have done to our country in 4 years is grossly indescribable. Make America great again. Okay. So when he goes through it, he says this completely right. This comes after Kash Patel, who I have been very critical of. I'm not critical of Kash Patel to the point where I want to get him thrown out on his head. I'm embarrassed by him. I'm disappointed in him. Going to clubs at night. I can tell you from running a business that's not the country called the United States that I always put my people first. And he has shown a gross lack of regard for the people of this country, and more specifically, the suspendables, which he should have taken special time. I would have stopped what I was doing, made sure I rehired all of them. I would have sent a message to the other 39,000 FBI agents that, you don't have to agree with what I say. You have to follow the orders that I give you, as long as they are lawful orders. But if you find something that is grossly a miscarriage of justice, then we're going to reward you and bring you back. You should be rewarded that way as a whistleblower. Instead, he did the opposite. And he played kowtow to people like, I won't even say it, people that I think are despicable people that act like they want to be the Kardashians. So Kash Patel came out and said he located documents inside the FBI, so they knew about the stealing of the election, and said that it included allegations of interference by the CCP. Now, keep in mind, it says included allegations by the CCP, that they printed ballots. Okay? They printed ballots. And he declassified information and he put it over to Grassley. And these were a plot to create fake mail-in ballots in 2020. Okay. I'm just going to, and this is where it's going to get interesting. Okay? Mr. President, I agree with you 1,000%. 1,000%. I agree with you on the election being stolen in 2020. Sir, they stole the election not just at the presidential level, they stole the election at the local level in nearly every jurisdiction. Anywhere where they knew that they didn't have to have transparency, they had mail-in ballots, and they had anyone in a position of power and trust that would listen to the misinformation, disinformation, malinformation. I can point directly to jurisdictions in Georgia, what we saw happen in Michigan, in Maine, of all places, New Hampshire, Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, Texas. No one is exempt from this behavior. No one. No one is exempt from what they were able to find in these environments. Okay? And you're so focused on the presidential election, and you should be, because you're a specimen. You're a man of great stature that's done amazing things. And at no point during this have you shown yourself to be a coward or to walk away from facts that were presented to you. I don't think they're presenting them to you. And I can tell you right now that China did not beam in some special deal through some PCAP program and drop in some special deal to change the outcome of the election and flip votes. That's not how it happened. Databases were used. Those databases were inside the system. We saw this in Mesa County reports 1, 2, and 3. They used internet connections and or the ability to use rootkits. Remember, no one's gotten access to the system. So the exact methods and algorithms and where they were placed and how they were utilized is grossly unknown. In addition, Dominion, Smartmatic, ES&S, and all of those, when the counting is done, it is pushed up, and then it goes to Seidel. And from Seidel, it goes to Edison. From Edison, then it goes to the different news outlets, New York Times, Fox, all of those things, right? So understanding the system architecture that nobody wants to talk to you about, you cannot just look at 2020 in a vacuum. You have to look at some of the things that they did to change election law in 2022 and 2024, because both of those elections were stolen as well. 2022, probably the most egregious. I can tell you right now that Jenna Griswold should not be in the position that she's in as the Secretary of State. 1,000%, she shouldn't. Neither should Phil Weiser. And you want to go back to 2018, very easy to see that election was manipulated. We were able to prove it. We talked about it back in 2018 when I was having a conversation with the person that ran against him. And I'm like, look, bro, I'm telling you right now, there's no way you lost this election. I didn't know what it was. I'm like, something's wrong. He's like, well, what do you mean? I was like, I don't know, but you should not have lost that election. It should have been a landslide for you by every indicator. Mr. President, you cannot get to the bottom of this unless you get rid of mail-in ballots, go to in-person voting, and you strip the authority of the voting machines and the competent jurisdictions to not have transparency. You have got to get to something very simple that allows for people to have confidence in the election systems. And for the first time in the history of this country, you are going to find that jurisdictions that were bright blue are going to turn red. And you're going to see people in areas shift very, very, very rapidly all the way to the right, kind of like it did with Reagan when he got elected president in a landslide. So if you are only looking at this from the perspective of your election or one state or one election company, you're doing it wrong. They bragged about it. Eric Coomer bragged about it. Everyone bragged about it. They bragged about the fact that they had set up the most significant election fraud system ever to be developed in the country. Biden said it. And if you look at this holistically, mathematically, I don't care. You call on me. I promise you, I will give you whatever I have. And there's other people that are doing great things as well. I don't need to get paid. But if you get enough people in a room to show you, and we're able to diagram this, I can show you how the election systems, they're hoping that you stay away from enough that the phenomena that you are will be gone in 3 years. That's what they're counting on. And they're counting on you not doing enough to adversely affect the elections going into 2026, that they're able to steal House and Senate seats and then blame it on policy shifts and people not wanting illegals to be thrown out of the country, and this slander fest that's happening right now against you that's largely untrue. And they're going to steal large parts of the House and the Senate, and they're going to move to impeach you again. I'm going to tell you how this is all going to go. And you can avoid it very easily by not just having a special prosecution and go through all that stuff. Mr. President, you're going to have to do what has never been done before, rip the Band-Aid off, be very unpopular, and allow the people to see what the mechanisms look like underneath. We've proven it. If you look in what happened Christina Bobb, she worked for you. She wrote a book. And in that book, she outlined a lot of the fraud. You have Joe Hoft. He wrote 3 books, The Fingerprints of Fraud. You have David Clements, who you say what you want about his disposition, because I know somebody said, oh, he's kind of a hothead. Yes, he is. 100%. He also did a canvassing in New Mexico. There are plenty of SMEs, subject matter experts, that you can bring in that would 100% brief you on the ability to then. I wrote a white paper. Nobody read it. I mean, I was told it was that you got it, but obviously within 90 days we didn't change the election structure and we didn't put any of those recommendations in place. So maybe it didn't work. I mean, somebody much smarter than me said we're not allowed to do it, I guess, even though it was well documented. But at some point, you're going to have to look at the urgency of what's happening right now, and you're going to have to look at yourself different. And I'm not you. I could have sold my company for a lot of money. I gave that up to support you. Here's the reality. You are a man that will never be duplicated. There will never be a Donald Trump again. There will never be a person that is able to stand as strong and as hard as you have stood for the American people. I mean, it's a Joan of Arc moment with a great outcome. And in 3 years, someone will step into your shoes. And 99.99% of the time, they will step so far back that it will not allow the people to have someone that will speak so articulately to what's happening with the American people to understand their pain or to even care whether or not their pain is even understood. So you have one opportunity to level set and to give people an opportunity to have free and fair elections and do what you said at your swearing in as a president of the United States in 2017. If we do not take care of these election systems and get rid of the machines and mail-in ballots, we are finished as a nation. And that is not hyperbolic. I am now planning on what happens after 2028. And I don't believe that there's another person. We look at the administration's shift and what's happening with Tulsi Gabbard at ODNI and these differences of intelligence briefings and what's there. And Mr. President, I can't sit here and tell you that I agree or disagree with you. Don't have enough information. But I can tell you that if you have this conflict in your position and you are the commander in chief, imagine what happens when we don't have someone like you as a commander in chief, and how easy it will be to basically steal all of that with an election system that can at will just pick what races they take. And that's what they do. They get to pick and choose. And with a lack of transparency. So anyway, that's all I got to say about it. Sorry, Matt. I had to say it. It had to come out. He left? He left me. That's not even nice. Oh. All right. Well, he did say he was going to the beach. I think it's the first time I've on video gone that in depth, huh? Huh? I probably should, huh? I probably should. Oh, wait. Somebody said, what, the professor is a hothead? That is absurd. Oh, yeah, sometimes. Some people say that. It's not true, but some people say that. It is true that they say that. Matter of fact, I made a recommendation for the professor and somebody said it. I was like, okay, well, whatever. I made the recommendation. Do what you want. Let's talk about Roe. Kind of she sided with Trump and went against Big Pharma today. And that's when you know that things are starting to get real and that there are people that are feeling the courage to step away from their party and align themselves with the people. Let's go ahead and play this.
Anyway, it's crazy, right? I mean, we're paying for all these drugs to be developed. You and I pay the NIH to develop all these drugs. Then the big pharma sells them at a profit to Americans, and basically the rest of the world gets these drugs at a fraction of the cost.
Right, so we're subsidizing their cost over there.
We're subsidizing their cost. Now, someone could say, okay, Mexico or some of these developing countries, fine, they should have these drugs cheaper. But we're subsidizing Great Britain. We're subsidizing Japan. We're subsidizing Europe. These are rich countries.
Yeah.
We're subsidizing Switzerland. So Donald Trump, one thing that I agree with, he comes out and he says Americans shouldn't pay a higher price than any other industrialized country.
Yeah.
I'm the first congressperson actually to introduce his executive order as a law. I said, okay, because the executive order, the pharma just will sue it and tie it up in court and nothing's going to happen.
I mean, I would say that this is a miracle that somebody would agree with him, but it's not like they can agree with. I think people have access to more information, so there's more opportunity for them to agree with what's really happening and reality, because the people are speaking, saying, "Hey, look, this is really what we want." And if you don't know a whole lot about Ro Khanna, he's a politician, lawyer. He's a U.S. representative in California. He's been there since 2017. He defeated Mike Honda, who was an 8-term incumbent Democratic representative, in 2016. He did endorse Bernie Sanders for president. And he, if you remember all the stuff that happened with Bernie Sanders, he was born in Philly, and he is from India. Kind of have a really interesting history in business specifically. So he's kind of one of the people I don't like a lot. Not a guy that I'm that fond of. So to see him actually coming out and talking about creating a bit of parity around the world for pharma, it's because people are waking up to it. And, they started off in the first few months talking about getting rid of income tax. I mean, how many of you would rather just get rid of income tax? How many would you like would not have to have tax day on April 15th? I mean, wouldn't it be nice if you didn't have to spend tens of thousands of dollars on accountants because you have to keep track of all this stuff, so that the government, who then can come in and just kind of railroad you at will? I got to tell you, I got a demand of levy for one of the companies, and it was for $67,000. And so I pick up the phone. It says, we're going to, levy your property. You owe $67,000 on a partnership submission. So I called him. I said, what partnership submission do we have on this organization? They said, well, you didn't turn one in. I said, oh, that checks. So why did you send us a $67,000 bill? And he goes, well, we just predicted what your profit would be, and then we just took our part. And I was like, oh, all right. Well, I don't owe you anything. I just said, I owe you nothing. And they're like, you have to prove to us you owe it. I said, no. You have to prove to me that I owe you anything, if there was ever any money, revenue, or otherwise that came through the company. And I think that you should go do your research, but I will sue you if you, decide to do all this stuff, and I'll make it very public. And that was it. Hung up the phone, got another letter 2 weeks later from another one of the organizations that was just another company that basically is a small portion of another company that passes the revenue, and they just didn't understand how the revenue passed down, because the IRS is a bunch of idiots. They're government workers. And so I get another bill, and this one's for like $80,000. I'm like, okay, these people are semi-retarded. Again, pick up the phone, call, have a conversation. I ended up sending the stuff to the accountant, but they just make it up. And how many of you that are listening have had the IRS just make stuff up? Or you didn't file the 1135S form, or you didn't file this form, and you're like, I did file it. You go through it, and you're like, oh, yep, it's right there. There's the form, right? And then they say, well, you got to prove it to us. See, everything is about the government basically coming down and saying, you owe us money, give it to us, and there's nothing we can do about it. This is what I talk about when I say that we're not represented, but people are starting to figure it out. And so people like Roe and other people are going, oh, yeah, we should probably talk about why the American people are being slaves, because there's too many people like Joe Altman that's talking about it. Anyway, we're tired. No more IRS. Abolish them. Get back to where we don't have any taxes. Little squirrel moment. Okay, I'm gonna cut out early today, so I'm not going 2 hours with you guys. Sorry, I'd love to, but I got stuff to do, and you don't want to hear me anyway. Yeah, somebody said the 16th Amendment was never ratified. No, it wasn't. It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. All right, quick update on what's happening with Iran. Here's a leaked video, and this video has an exchange between the Minister of Internal Security and the head of Mossad. And this is set against the rubble of Tel Aviv and in a recent missile attack. So this is crazy. Let's go ahead and play this.
הפכו אותו לשר לביטחון פנים. אתה לא מתבייש? אתה לא מתבייש? תשובה היא לא. אני לא מתבייש, אתה תתבייש. אתה תתבייש.
Let me read to you what they were saying. The guy on the right was the head of internal security. He's a man of faith. His name's Intamar Benver. The Mossad chief admits Iran's missile capabilities was a surprise to me. I do not imagine that they had such advanced technology. The Mossad chief admits, visibly shaken. He was the faithless zealot on the left-hand side who the goal was to hurt people. And I'm sorry. I'm sure there's good Mossad agents. I'm sure there are. On the right, you had Itamar say this, furious over the devastation, lashes out, who gave you the right to provoke Iran and subject our country to such a blow? It is your fault that Iran bombed Tel Aviv. You're not alone, guys. You're not alone. Let me tell you again what I said way back in March of 2022. March of 2022. When I said, no, I will stand with Russia every day and twice on Sunday. Everybody's like, oh, you are a traitor, Joe, to the country. I didn't know that Ukraine was the United States. I didn't know that I had to support a foreign nation in a foreign war that killed people. I said the same thing about this. I had said the same thing about what's happening with the CIA and Mossad. And here you see it. Nobody wanted this to get out. You have internal security to the country, a man of faith, Itamar, who is a man of faith. He's a man that believes in God, serves the people of Israel, and he's telling them, who gave you the right to provoke Iran? If you think that the people of Israel support these faithless, godless, atheist trash heaps, I got another thing coming for you. They don't. And a vast majority of them want to live in the land because of what the meaning of the land is for them. It is a walk of faith. They believe in God. It doesn't make it any more true or less true that we have to support or give up to Israel. I think what Israel is, the definition of what we've made it, are two totally different things. But here's a person that believes in the power of prayer. And then you have the Mossad. And let's play it again. Look at the mannerisms of the guy on the left, who is the head of Mossad. Look at him. Now, he doesn't like being yelled at, so he starts yelling in his face. He gets right up in his face. You want to know why? Look at him. He's screaming at him. He's just sitting there screaming, and they're holding him back. He's getting right in his face. Yeah. And then they drag him off. But the head of Mossad's what? I mean, let's be honest. The head of Mossad is contrite and, oh, I didn't know. I didn't know. It surprised me. And he didn't just say that, oh, I'm sorry. It was like, oh, oh well. Iran's missile capabilities was a surprise. I did not imagine they had such technology. Oh. So the Mossad guy is basically saying up front, the head of Mossad is saying up front, he's saying in all the quiet parts out loud, that it would have been okay to go and provoke Iran had we basically not known that they had missiles to fight back. So the bully in the room gets to be the bully, and this man of faith over in Israel, which people of Israel want peace. They can't have peace because you got diabolical people that run things in the United States that are a part of this secret fraternity, and people like Muhammad, what is the guy's name? Harari, Yuval Noah Harari, and Chuck Schwab. What's the guy's name? Klaus Schwab. You had all these guys that stand together with the World Economic Forum, and they recruit Americans, conservatives, and everyone else to come in, and then their whole plight is depopulation. And do you think they give a shit about the people of Israel? No, they're the same pawns that the Americans are. And how I know that black people and brown people are just the pawns of the radical atheist shitbag leftist, whatever you want to call them, Jewish people. You know how I know? It's because they did it on them first. We can go all the way back to, basically injecting them with syphilis. Are you serious? That was actually something we did in our country. But, it's fine. It's fine. We can degrade and create no opportunity for people in the United States and sell off 3 million acres to the CCP. Let me wrap it all together for you and say that it's a 2020 election because President Trump lost. Sorry, Mr. President. It's not. It's the entire system that is designed to treat us like slaves. And then you have someone that truly cares about his country that is screaming in the face of the Mossad leader. You don't think he knows that when he's doing that diabolical piece of shit will do something to him and his family? He knows. But it's too late. It's too late. That ship has sailed. He already knows that Iran has all of these capabilities and they're firing it in, and they have relationships with other countries. And so we got a bully that came into the courtroom backed by Daddy. Daddy's the United States. President Trump he is operating with restraint. He does not want AIPAC to go ballistic on him, which is a bunch of faithless, godless pieces of garbage. And then the people that work for him are like, oh man, you're talking about my people. You attack Israel, you anti-Semite. I'm thinking to myself, piss off. You literally are not even considering the people that are over in Israel. And by the way, talk to the people in Israel. Talk to the people that live in Israel. And if they speak, ask any of them if they will get on TV and speak. And you know what the answer will be, Apollo? What will the answer be? No. They won't. Private conversations and secret apps. And then the people that do stand up like this guy stand up because the people go and see him and say, hey, we don't want this war. Why are you bringing this to our doorstep? Why did it take 7 hours for the IDF to respond to the terror attack by Hamas? And why did you turn an entire area of Gaza that has been built up over the last decade to basically rubble? Please do not tell me again, do not tell me, blessed are those people. Do not take me to Genesis 12 again. Don't do it. Do not walk past Numbers. Do not walk past Leviticus. Do not walk past John. Do not walk past the inconvenient parts of the Bible that kind of dictate who the chosen people of God are. Don't walk past it and say, I got to support the Rothschilds building in 1948 in an area right in the middle of the Arab nations. Are you kidding me? And tell me that I have to take that position or I am walking away from God. Because I'm having conversations with God every day. And I'm looking for the Holy Spirit to tell me what direction to go in. And at no point is God telling me that I should run over there and be like, Slava Israel. He says, stand for peace. Blessed are those that know how to go to war, but that want nothing but peace. You tell me how a faithless, atheistic leadership is going to lead me to God when it says that you cannot get to the Father except through him, being Jesus. I mean, I can't even justify it. I can't even have the conversation where people are saying you're trying to be anti-Semitic. I'm not. There's no part of me that wants to be anti-Semitic. I want to be a realist. I want to speak about what's real, what's true. And what we're saying right now is just not true. All right, I'm done with that. Ballistic missiles slammed into Haifa. This is a few hours ago. An Iranian missile struck Haifa. 2 were seriously injured. They knew that the missile was coming in. They gave people adequate notice, but they're proving that there's no part of Israel that they can't hit. Let's go ahead and play it. Just so you know, the people in Israel are living with the terror that people of Gaza and other places have lived with for decades. And neither group of people deserve to have to live with it. And the U.S. is being dragged into a war when we should be seeking a solution, a long-term solution. And before President Trump left office and that diabolical meathead Biden came in, it's the first time in history that there was a peace deal that was done. And within minutes, the Abraham Accords, within minutes, it was undone. Undone by Biden. Last night, Tehran was hit by IAF airstrikes. We have some video of that as well. Let's go ahead and play it. Dorothy Shea, who's the interim U.S. Representative to the United Nations. This is what this reminds me of is Susan Rice, the bad Susan Rice, who stated that Sudan was a diabolical leadership. They needed a regime change. President al-Bashir needed to be out. They were committing genocide and ethnic cleansing in Darfur. This is all caused by the CIA, all 100%. And that, oh no, not only are they killing people in the north and, you know, that they're going up there and they're raping and murdering people in Darfur, committing genocide. They're also down in South Sudan. And oh, you should see what they're doing down there. They're killing the Christians. I am never surprised by the deviancy that we deal with tied to foreign policy. It has no end. And look, I can say all of this and still have great regard for certain people that are in the government and the work that they're doing, what President Trump is doing, what J.D. Vance is doing, what Tulsi Gabbard is doing, what RFK Jr. is doing. I mean, I could talk about specific people that I think are doing absolutely outstanding work and how that never filters down to the U.S. If you are not taking the advice, and President Trump is not, it just launched on Fox News. President Trump is disagreeing with Tulsi Gabbard's analysis that Iran does not have nuclear weapons. He completely disagrees. But where is he getting the information if he's not getting it from his DNI, Director of National Intelligence? Where is he getting it? Mossad. He's getting it from Mossad. He's getting it from MI6. He's getting it from UN. He's getting it from the very people that he can't trust. The very people that are sucking America dry, that have made policy decisions in places like Sudan, places like Iraq, places like Afghanistan, places where we've done horrible things to a lot of people. We have. The Americas, we have. He's taking that advice from them. And here again, just like in the Susan Rice deal, you have Dorothy Shea who says, we can no longer ignore that Iran has all it needs to achieve a nuclear weapon. There's a high probability, by the way, that Iran has always had the ability to have a nuclear weapon. Do you know how much nuclear waste, at least a dirty bomb, do you know how much nuclear waste is gone missing over the last decade? Any idea? Any idea? It's enough to wipe out, if I was a betting man, at least half of the U.S. NFL cities. And if you don't trust me, go look at the internet. You can see it there. But she had this to say. Let's hear it in her own words, and let's study this person to see if what she's saying is truthful, or does she believe what she's hearing, and who did she get that information from? Let's play it.
Iran's leaders could have avoided this conflict had they agreed to a deal that would have prevented them from ever obtaining a nuclear weapon. But they refused to do so, choosing instead to delay and deny. We can no longer ignore that Iran has all that it needs to achieve a nuclear weapon. All it needs is a decision from their supreme leader. That is unacceptable, and this council must urge them to change course.
Apollo, how many times do you have to have a teleprompter or something written in front of you? There was never any ethnic cleansing or genocide that occurred in Darfur. Never. It never happened. People died. Conflict exists. And with the Janjaweed and Chadian rebels and 43 Darfurian rebel groups and intertribal conflicts, many people died. Not as many as you would think, because frankly, it's a sparsely populated area in the northwest section of Libya. But it didn't happen. The United States made up this whole thing about what happened there. And if you go down to South Sudan, they didn't have Christians either. Not in your general sense. It's a very tribal environment. And the Sudanese are very tribal. But it wasn't we're going to attack Christians. There's been Coptic Christians and everything over the area. We use things that we sensationalize while not understanding the cultural differences that happen in that area. And at the same time as all this was happening, they were realizing that they had one of the largest oil reserves that runs between North and South Sudan on the globe, called the Abyei District. Go look it up. Go look it up. I've been there. I've seen it. I have firsthand knowledge of this. And keep in mind, Sudan has always been a relatively stable nation until we decided we wanted a regime change. Now look at what's happening in Syria. We're not even talking about that anymore. And you want to talk about Christians getting killed. It's as if we put a new Ayatollah in place and they just have a carte blanche to kill and maim and bully people with impunity. That's what's happening in Syria right now. And you talk about the Houthis and, that we bombed them into submission. That's not true either. Now, all we did is we created a new, more complex set of rules and wars and people driven underground only to want to have vengeance later. Kanana sugar is in Sudan. When the sanctions in Sudan happened, it affected everything except for small pockets of the nation. Can't give material advice to terrorists. They became a terrorist nation. President al-Bashir was sanctioned. He got an ICC indictment, and the indictment was released because it was found to be fraudulent, and then they put it on him again. And then Susan Rice is still out there doing what Susan Rice does, and it's her pet project. And that pet project led to the overthrow of that government, and so they did. And you had the CIA and MI6 and the Mossad that came into Sudan, and President al-Bashir's out. Now you have the new interim, and now it's a complete mess. And what's happening in South Sudan, you have the vice president and the president that are now at each other's throats. And this has been going on for decades. And we sit on the sideline and we watch it happen. And we're doing the same thing with Israel and Iran. And you'd say, Joe, it's much more complicated than that. I was like, don't tell me what's complicated. It's not that complicated. A lack of trust is always overcome with a trust but verify type of formula. And once you know the triggers and identifiers of each side, and you stop trying to fulfill outside interests and respect the sovereignty of a nation, much can be done. Progress can be made. But you cannot have progress in the middle of being institutionally dishonest about what's happening. And maybe Iran has nuclear weapons. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. You know what they do have? Long-range ballistic missiles that can hit Haifa and Tel Aviv and anywhere that they want to hit inside of Israel. And you got people in Israel that just want to stop. Just stop. Get to the table for peace. The same that can be said for Ukraine and Russia. I promise you, if you held an election in Ukraine today, mark my words, you held an election in Ukraine today, 95% would vote for Mickey Mouse if he ran against Zelensky. 95%. The other 5% driving around in Bugattis and Lamborghinis because they got a bunch of money from the United States government. That's the reality. And you'd say, Joe, how do you get your information? Oh, I don't know. I don't get it off X. I don't get it off CNN. There's no appetite for Zelensky. None. Zero. But, there wasn't an appetite to get rid of Saddam Hussein either. They manufactured that. Or how about, sodomizing and killing Gaddafi in the streets by people that were not even Lebanese? They let people come in and literally kill Gaddafi. Those were not Lebanese people that killed Gaddafi. So you let foreigners come in and you took pictures of it and you called them Lebanese. They weren't. Excuse me. Libyans. They weren't Libyans, not Lebanese. They weren't Libyans. Apollo, do you agree with me or am I just on my own here? I feel like I'm talking to myself because I kind of am. Oh.
I mean, if I were going to kind of sum up, I mean, you have a lot of knowledge on these things that I don't because of life experience, but I mean, it's the same narrative that they did with Ukraine, like you were talking about earlier. Either you're a friend of one devil or you're a supporter of the other if you disagree. And I mean, you can not want death in one country without meaning that you're a sympathizer with some other regime that doesn't like America. It's a silly argument. And the rhetoric that they're pushing on this is just really, it's pretty sad.
No question. And it doesn't seem to get any better, honestly. It really doesn't.
Well, because they don't want it to, because they all want war. The wars are never supposed to end.
Pretty nuts. Pretty absolutely nuts. Yeah. And then military service members are reporting that they're being fine dined and receive lobster and steak. I don't really know what's happening here. And they're saying we are going to war. They're getting all sorts of steak and stuff. Let's look at this. This is kind of things to come. Let's go ahead and play it.
lobster. You know what that means. We are going to war. To war we are going. I'm gonna eat good now.
I mean, it's all fun and games until you actually go to war. And then it's not so fun. It's Friday, so we're going to have some fun a little bit. We talked a little bit about the doom and gloom in the news, so it's important we have a laugh. You want some laughs? This is pretty fun. I don't know if this is fun, but here's President Trump in an exchange. I haven't even seen this one in the Situation Room. Let's go ahead and play it.
And they're fighting each other. I said, why don't you let them fight? Why are we getting in the middle of it? I said, let them fight. Sir, we want to do it. They go in and they end up fighting both of them. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Let them fight.
Who does that sound like, Apollo? Yeah. That's my spirit animal. It's my brother from another mother. And that's actually the President Trump that I once got to watch at a rally. He was in the back and I was watching and I was like, this dude is awesome. Just because he's a matter of fact. He's a New Yorker, but he just has an immense amount of courage. Here's Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's shutting down Jimmy Kimmel when he went on a rant against Trump. And I don't even like Schwarzenegger, but you got to watch this.
Someone who has experience with predators, how would you handle Donald Trump in this situation where he is threatening to withhold federal funding from our students, from our schools, from disabled students? We are a state that pays more to the federal government than we get in return from the federal government. Is it realistic, this idea that Governor Newsom has floated, that we would just stop paying them the money that we pay them?
Well, it sounds always easy, isn't it?
It sounds easy, but it never is.
It doesn't happen because every individual in California pays taxes, pays the state tax, local tax, and pays federal tax. So how are you going to stop them from doing that? And then if the IRS is coming after you. I mean, this is, look, yeah. I just want everyone to know this is all dialogue. This is rhetoric. The left going after the right going after the left. I mean, the bottom line is they should get together rather than always pointing the finger at each other. They should really get together and solve this problem because that's what the American people want. They want to have this problem solved.
It seems like our president doesn't want to have this problem solved. He wants to create problems here in our state.
I have to tell you, people always say to me, oh my God, what's going on in America right now and all this stuff. And I said to them, I said, relax. I've come over here in 1968 where it was a disaster. I mean, even the most fantastic country, but I came over here in 1968, Martin Luther King was assassinated. Bobby Kennedy was assassinated. There were the riots left and right because of the Vietnam War. There were the protests. Then there was the attack on the Democratic Convention in Chicago. And then after that, there was Watergate. And the thing went on and on and on where people said, what is going on in America? And we got out of that mess. So America will always get out of this mess. And we will get out of this. Believe me, this will be solved, this issue. Los Angeles will always be a great city to come to. I'm very, very proud of Los Angeles. And I think the key thing here is that the federal government and the state and the locals work together to solve those problems.
People need to hear that because people are looking for something positive. I think a lot of people are feeling disheartened and like, oh, things are not going to get better. They're going to get worse.
Let me tell everyone here, I travel a lot. And I just came back from Europe. And today, as much as 50 years ago, the same amount of people come up to me and says, Arnold, please, can you help me to get to America?
They do.
Because it's the greatest country in the world. It is the best country in the world. It is fantastic. No matter who is leading it and all this stuff, people come and go, but this always will be the greatest country. And this is why I cannot wait to celebrate the 250th anniversary of America and to just once again say, thank you, America, for, kind of bringing me into this country and showing me this enormous generosity. Everything that I've ever accomplished in my life is because of America. That's the...
And then President Trump had something to say to Iran. He is a commander in chief. Look, you don't have to like every decision he makes. Matter of fact, I prefer you don't, because that means you're thinking for yourself. But you have to respect the man because he's put it all on the line. They've tried to kill him. They tried to put him in jail. And no, I'm not telling anybody about that. Let's go ahead and play it first. President Trump responding to Iran. If Iran doesn't stop this war in 24 hours, I'm going to send Hillary, our best hitman, 100% accuracy, has never failed a mission. Okay, just kidding. It's fake. It's fake. It's fake. It's fake. It's not real. He did not say he's going to send Hillary. Oh, by the way, I was going through the office here because we moved into a new office, and someone found this Hillary doll, this plastic doll. Apollo, we're going to blow up the Hillary doll.
Please tell me we can thermite the Hillary doll.
We absolutely can. So they handed me this Hillary doll. It says Hillary on it. First of all, I don't know if we can run someone up. Can you have somebody run upstairs and go into Micah's office and grab it for me real quick? I kind of want to put it on the show.
Yeah, let me go grab it real quick.
All right. So it's on the back wall next to the Biden needs to go to prison. My daughter might actually not like Biden a lot. It's true. She doesn't like Biden, and she doesn't like Hillary. So she showed me this doll, and when Apollo gets back, I'm going to show you the difference between what Hillary Clinton really looked like and what they tried to make her look like with this doll. But it's a nutcracker. And I grabbed it. I was like, this is actually a nutcracker. It's kind of brilliant. But we're gonna blow it up. We're gonna take it out and we're gonna put it on top of a 10-pound bag of tannerite, and we're gonna blow Hillary. Is that legal? Because she's not really. Are you allowed to do that? Is that symbolism? Let's go through some of the comments real quick and see how you guys feel about me blowing up our girl. Let's see what we got here. Swartzen butt is full of shies. Gammy, you have gotten really negative as of late. You need an attitude adjustment, just so we're clear. We got it. Can I get a picture of what Hillary Clinton really looks like? Just before I show this. Jeff says need a laugh dance. What's that in relation to? Don't know. Trying to see if anybody. So who is Chris says we shouldn't be over there getting involved in the cultural differences. I agree. Oil in these days, information dominance. It is an information war for sure. No, that's not. Give me a real picture. There's a picture that just came out. She looks tired. That's a picture that's been touched up 100 times. That looks like a picture literally that they put through AI. So this is the Hillary doll. Ready? You see the Hillary doll? It's a good thing she's a nutcracker because Bill's not letting anything to. So tell me that looks like Hillary. Like she's not. First of all, let's turn it sideways. She's not that thin at all, right? They made her look like a superhero. When is the last time that she actually looked like this? When she was 20? This is like fake news. This is like a profile on OnlyFans. That was Hillary Clinton from 40 years ago. I get it. But she, yeah, he was. So she's a nutcracker. So I think we're going to put the nutcracker on a tannerite. We're going to put a camera on her. I can't believe I just did that to see if there's mechanics are in it. It does have mechanics. That was shouldn't have done that. What are we doing? What is that? Oh boy. Oh, are we going to interview Hillary? All right, we're going to quickly interview Hillary. Ask her a few questions. Here we go. All right, so Hillary Clinton is, as he gets it ready, he wants me to interview Hillary. Do we have someone that can do a Hillary voice? There you go. There's Hillary Clinton sitting in Matt's chair as a nutcracker. And we're gonna shoot Hillary Clinton in the just below, blow her to pieces. I think I can legally say that because it's just a doll and there's no symbolism attached to it, other than the fact that somebody left it at this office and we found it, and it changed my opinion of all the people that we bought the building from. Hillary, assistant to Satan. There you go. Just in case you were wondering. Well, that's all I had today, Apollo. How you doing there, Hillary? I'm good. I hope you guys have a great weekend. There's a lot of good stuff that's happening. We can't just concentrate on all the negative stuff. Remember that Liberty Fest comes up July 12th and 13th. We'll have bands and food and all sorts of other stuff. We'll have a dunk tank. I will be in the dunk tank. It should be pretty nice. It should be pretty neat, at least for a little bit. And that's it. Apollo, you have any announcements? You're gone for a little bit?
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to go take care of some family stuff, so I will be gone for a while.
All right. So we don't know when Apollo's back. Going back in. All right. Well, we'll miss him. Let's pray for him. Let's pray ourselves out. And remember that, all is good. God wins. Pray, stand, speak, act. Still as good today as it ever was. All right, let's pray. Father God, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Thank you for just the blessings you put in our lives. We are grateful for the path that you've put us on to be born at a time such as this, the challenges that you give us. And Father, we're just grateful for the people. We're grateful for the people you've put in our lives and the impact the positive impact that has been given to us over the last 5 years as we go through this immense challenge. I'll ask you to give President Trump and his leaders and the leaders of this country, whether we agree with them or not, will you give them the wisdom and the strength to do what is right and to step away from any sort of compromises that they may be making that would go against the interest of your people. Father, we know that the ultimate goal is to restoration, restoring you to our community, to our country, to our very way of life. So I ask you, Father, that you will give us the strength to make sure we can stand strong on the ideals and beliefs that we have that will lead to that restoration. Help us, Father, that we may never become the very thing that we're fighting against, and we may follow you regardless of the consequences. I ask these things humbly in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Have a great weekend. Don't have too much fun. I promise I won't either.